Good afternoon. We'll bring to order the Thursday, August 10th, 2017 meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority. Would the clerk please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Good afternoon. Directors Campion?
Here. Oh.
Carr?
I was like, what?
Fox?
Here.
Frost?
Here.
Guerra? Hanson?
Here.
Harris?
Here. Again.
Howell? Hume? Gatewood?
Here.
Natoli? Peters? Chenier?
Here.
Cerna?
Here.
Suen? Kennedy?
Here.
And you have a quorum.
Thank you, and welcome to our newest members.
That's fun.
Actually, we're going to stand in the Pledge of Allegiance if you join me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed caption and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will replay Sunday, August 13th at 2 p.m. on Channel 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker identification form located at the back of chambers and give it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. If you have any electronic devices, please silence them at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, item number 1 is comments from the public regarding matters not on the agenda. I believe we have a card. Mr. Tartaguia. I'm guessing.
Well, I want to make sure this phone is off in case someone tries to call me.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeff Tartaguia, and in dealing with accountability to the public, I will say, Patrick, I hope you know about Wednesday's convention center, the, shall we say, what is it called? Civics Lab? Please, I hope there is some understanding representation for transportation with what's going on. I hope, but I understand that there is a $10 fee. I don't know yet, haven't heard from SACOG. The answer whether that's ongoing or one time, but it's real interesting, the participation. Other thing that we'll say to you is this has nothing to do with this, but guys, get ready at the RT meeting because I'm not pleased and happy at what I read in the agenda currently right now. The other thing for ST, I see nothing going forward with Measure B, but it sounds like there's rumors dealing more with the streetcar, in which I understand there will be some more on that. So I haven't heard about the steering committee at SACOG's level. So wondering about that, and I'm hoping that you guys in the unspent money, please proceed quite wisely of where the money is going. Again, since we have so few of the public that shows up for this meeting, yes, I'm the damn person that comes in here and says, guys, there is somebody unseen out there that holds you accountable, and yes, when I'm not here, I will be watching.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you, Jeffrey. And Executive Director's Report.
So the first order of business is we'd like to welcome the 2 newest members of the STA Governing Board. We have Mr. Albert Fox from Citrus Heights and Mr. Garrett Gatewood from the City of Rancho Cordova. Welcome. So I'd like to just make a few brief comments regarding the Executive Director's Report. The fiscal year 2016-17 financial audit is underway. The Independent Taxpayer Oversight Committee is acting as the audit committee and conducted the entrance conference 2 weeks ago. The auditors were in our offices last week, and will be making other site visits over the next couple of months. And so work will continue well into the fall. In June, your board approved 2 items related to our bond program: the 6-month extension for the standby bond purchase agreement with U.S. Bank was successfully executed on July 12th, and by coincidence, the direct purchase agreement with Wells Fargo was closed this morning. Regarding our work on updating the long-term Measure A revenue forecast and cash flow analysis, we received our first set of numbers yesterday afternoon. We will vet them and present them to the Budget Subcommittee on August 28th, and then to your full board on at your October meeting. along with a recommendation on how we will fund the next round of capital projects from the expenditure plan. Regarding Old Measure A, I'm happy to report significant progress in spending down those funds. As shown in the staff report for item 4, Rancho Cordova and Citrus Heights have now claimed 100% of their funds, while the city of Sacramento has reduced their balance by 1/3. We'll continue to reach out for Isleton, to the city of Isleton, and explore options with the county to get their funds spent this year as well. For the Sacramento Freeway Service Patrol, we received our allocation figure for this year. It's $1.199 million, which is 9% more than last year, but 3.6% lower than we had projected. And although Caltrans has told us how much we're going to be getting this fiscal year, we still haven't received the transfer agreement to allow us to start actually claiming those funds. And but we hope to have it for your October meeting. For those of you who have been on this board for many years, you'll know that this is something that we struggle with every single year. And but that's why we're so thankful to SACOG and the SAFE program for their match funding, because it's the match funding that allows FSP to continue in this interim between when we the fiscal year starts and when we actually receive Caltrans funding for FSP. So to SACOG board members, to the SAFE board members, thank you again. It's much appreciated. Let's see, after today's meeting, the next STA Governing Board meeting is October 12th. And unless you have any other comments or questions, that concludes the Executive Director's report.
Any questions? Any questions of the Executive Director?
No, sir.
All right.
Your next items are your consent matters, items 3 through 9.
Okay, I understand that the council has something to address on number 9.
I just wanted to mention on item 9, the contract with ORIC. The contract included in staff materials was an amendment. I want to do that as a new contract. It'll be retroactive to capture the services most recently provided with the 2 extensions, but it can't be an amendment because the prior contract expired a year ago. So we'll do it as a new contract.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr.
Yes.
Yeah, just a question on item 8. You still leave it on the consent calendar. Just on that agreement is for additional freeway service patrol for the planned closure of the resurfacing of Pioneer Bridge. Is it that they're anticipating vehicles that will break down because they're going to wait so long, or are they anticipating more accidents, or both?
Both. Both happen during so during the number of ramp closures that they have, there's significant slowdowns, and then there are accidents caused by the slowdowns. And so FSP will be out there to get these vehicles out of the way before additional slowdowns and additional accidents.
Okay. Can we have I just be curious to know what that activity is once it's done. Hopefully there's no serious accidents, and maybe, we have a miraculous result with no accidents at all. But I guess what we're a response to, obviously they're going to pay for that, and I know it's a big project, and it just kind of piqued my curiosity in looking at this.
Well, I did hear, for example, the very first weekend closure, there was a car fire, and there were also 18 assists. 18 assists?
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So this is for this period during this month when they're doing the resurfacing and the
That's
closures.
correct.
Okay, all right, thanks. That's all.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? I have no cards from the public.
I move the consent.
Second.
Moved by Director Natoli, second by Director Carr. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Item number 10, Independent Taxpayer Oversight Committee update.
Since the Independent Taxpayer Oversight Committee is a functional partner and advisory resource to the STA Governing Board, I've asked ITAC Chair Joan Baruki to provide you with regular updates on their activities.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's also required as part of the job description to come in and talk to you periodically.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's always nice to see everybody. So as Norm mentioned previously, the ITAC did have the entrance conference with Richardson Company to kick off the annual financial report. And they project that the audit, they don't see any problems with what internal auditing they have done so far, and they're still projecting to have it finished by December of this year. And over the last 6 months, the committee has focused on taking an active role in oversight as outlined in the functional guidelines adopted by you. To that end, we've been working with staff and the development of the new project status reporting templates. I think you've probably seen some changes in the last couple of months. Just to warn you, there's still a work in progress. We still believe that we need some work in getting to a better description of project status and completion on those reports as well. So we'll continue to work with the staff on that. As well, the committee is responsible for conducting performance audits of STA, supposedly triennially. We have reached out to the Self-Help Counties Coalition to find out if there are any other similar performance audits that are being done by any other agencies in the state, and they're in the process of surveying the other self-help counties for us so that we can get some good best practices examples for what needs to be done, how to do it, rather than reinvent the wheel with that. Having said that, that's where we're at today. We look forward to seeing the long-term revenue projections and cash flow analysis coming forward here in the next couple of days, and we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Great. Any questions? Questions? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Item number 11, legislation update, AB 1069 and SB 1.
I'm sure most of you are receiving regular legislative updates, especially regarding SB 1, from your staffs at your respective local agencies. What I'd like to do is provide you an update, but only on the items that directly impact the STA.
Please.
The first is Assembly Bill 1059. AB 1059 seeks to ease regulation on the taxicab industry by consolidating taxi regulation at a county transportation agency level, instead of at each of the local cities. Originally, it was thought that the STA would become the taxi regulating agency for Sacramento County. Fortunately, the latest published versions of the bill names SACOG to that role, and not to STA. The next big legislative item is Senate Bill 1, which is a $5.2 billion per year investment in California's transportation systems. SB 1 passed in April, but the implementation guidelines are still being worked out. And here's what we know so far about the two SB 1 programs that have the most direct impact on Sacramento County. Through SB 1's local streets and roads programs, it is estimated that about $44 million per year will flow to your agencies directly for road maintenance and road rehab and other types of and other uses. The other locally important SB 1 program is the Local Partnership Program. That's a $200 million program that is intended specifically to reward self-help counties. So in other words, it's the counties that voted to tax themselves for transportation improvements, such as what we did here in Sacramento County with Measure A. So half of that program, $100 million a year, will be distributed by formula based on either population or revenue. My estimate for it is about $4 million per year would flow directly to SDA for the SDA to program. Now, because there's a one-to-one match for this funding, that necessarily means that all of the programs that would be funded through this would have to already be in our expenditure plan to be eligible for that funding. Now, the other half of the program, $100 million, is going to be opened up statewide on a competitive basis. And even though the parameters and the criteria have not been established yet, the CTC, the California Transportation Commission, has already established an October 17th deadline for all applications. So I'm going to reach out to all of your agencies and suggest that everyone get together and start making application for this, because if we miss this opportunity, funding won't be available for another 2 years. what the CTC would like to do is they would like to take the first 2 years of funding, $200 million, and make it available now, and then not fund it again until the 2 years has passed. So October 17th, very critical deadline. It's coming up very soon, so a lot of work needs to be done between now and October 17th to get our programs in there. And again, for the time being, this is a one-to-one match, and so any kind of application, the project would have to be already within our expenditure plan. Now, another way that your board can help is by sending staff to the SB1 workshops. The CTC relies heavily on input that they receive at these workshops, to help them draft the implementation guidelines. I've seen some local staffs at the workshops, but more local representation would be very helpful. Because otherwise, mid-sized counties such as Sacramento, we don't tend to fare very well against Southern California and the Bay Area. And fortunately, the next local partnership program workshop is actually here in Sacramento. That will be Friday, September 8th from 9 to 12:30. And so if you need any additional information about that, just contact me, email, phone, and I could help coordinate that as well.
Let me just freeze there for a second. So what type of participation from local are you looking for? What level of transportation directors? What are you looking for? Just your local planning staffs are helpful. Okay. Specifically, what we're looking for with regard to the local partnership program is that half of it is by formula, the other half is by competition. The competitive portion is the part that we can actually change, I think, because when under Prop 1B, the previous bill, 95% of it was programmed by formula to the local agencies, and only 5% of it was by competition. This time around, they want to do it 50-50, and counties such as Sacramento really lose out when they do it that way. We just don't compete very well. And so, and what I've noticed at these CTC workshops is that when participants, there are all kinds of participants, at public works staff, planning staff, when they make comments, CTC, they really take note of that. And so representation is really important at these meetings. Okay. Good.
That concludes the legislative update.
All right, any questions? I have Director McGarvey, but that's not Director McGarvey.
Okay, so really quick, so we're all going to bid on $100 million. So the dates were February when you need my planning people to come to talk to you, or when was that? How do you want this to work?
Well, actually, the pot that we'll be talking about is actually $200 million because they want to take the first 2 years of that program, lump it together,
okay,
and then do it by competition. The applications are actually due October 17th.
Okay.
So that gives us a month and a half or so.
How long does it take to usually put one of these together?
Pardon me?
How long does it take to put one of these together?
Well, the CTC has not even established the criteria yet. So,
okay.
Yeah, so we don't really even know. But the local agencies can start thinking about which projects that are shovel-ready or very close to being shovel-ready, and start thinking about those.
So do you want a call from Cyrus, or what do you need from me?
I usually work, Cyrus is fine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right.
Okay. Item number 12, office space lease agreement, SHRA building.
For this item, please note that there is an updated lease agreement in front of you. We're asking for the board's authorization of this lease agreement for 2,000 square feet of office space in the SHRA building at 801 12th Street. This is a 10-year lease at extremely favorable terms that will save the STA no less than $20,000 a year from our current location. This item was approved by the Sacramento Housing Redevelopment Commission on August 2nd. And it will also go to the Sacramento City Council and to the County Board of Supervisors on August 22nd for final approval. We plan to begin moving into temporary space in that building at the beginning of September while tenant improvements are underway. Our new address is listed in item 2, the Executive Director's Report, but we will also be sending out a change of address notices to everyone. We hope to be in our permanent space by December. Mike Taylor is with SHRA is here today if you have any questions.
Questions?
Move the item. Second.
Moved by Director Chenier, second by Director Hansen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Item number 13, Neighborhood Shuttle Program.
The Measure A ordinance called for the creation of a neighborhood shuttle program funded with $30 million of Measure A funds. The Measure A ordinance itself only has two sentences in the entire ordinance expenditure plan regarding the neighborhood shuttle. So it's very, very broad and very general. And I think there was probably discussion about what the neighborhood shuttle was or should be back in the early 2000s when this board added that item to the expenditure plan. But unfortunately, we don't have any of the tapes and to really know what had happened there. So since the beginning of the current Measure A in 2009, we've been putting aside $1 million per year to fund the neighborhood shuttle program. No work has commenced on it as we waited for enough fund balance to start something. Today, we have $8 million saved up, and I've put together a general framework for the neighborhood shuttle. But at this point, I'm in need of more direction from your board or from another group to work out the concepts, refine the details. As I said, the ordinance itself was very, very general about what the neighborhood shuttle should be, and so I want to make sure that what we're thinking about aligns with what the board is thinking about. So we could do this as part of regular future board meetings. We could also do it as a subcommittee of the board, or we could do it any other way that the board has a preference for. So we're open.
I'd like to make a suggestion, and then we can, anybody can chime in and comment if they like, of course. Subcommittees are really hard for all of us. We know that as we all try to schedule them, and it may slow things down. My recommendation would be for you and your staff, to meet with Mr. Lee and his staff over at RT and put together some kind of a proposal plan and bring that before the board, rather than have us get into the weeds and put together a plan. I think that would be more appropriate, and I'd be glad to. Mr. Chenier?
Thank you. I want to second that. I think that's a better way to do it. What I'd recommend in doing that, and I know that Mr. Lee has reached out to members of this group as well to talk about potential shuttles in the neighborhood. So as long as all of the STA representatives are included to their desire in putting that together, that would be great. I think it's a really worthwhile project. I think the $8 million is better spent providing service than sitting somewhere. So I would be very much in favor of that, and would hope, Norm, that you could come back with between you and Henry, come back with a timeline of what we could expect to at least see a plan before this board. Will do. Thank you.
Okay, and let me just say that my comments also included the comment that Mr. Chenier made, and that's that wouldn't keep any board member up here from having input into the process and being able to reach out to both Mr. Lee, yourself, and staff to be a part of that. With that, I will go to Director Peters.
Yes, thank you. Did the measure require that the shuttle be run by Regional Transit?
It did not. What it says is that a neighborhood shuttle program will be created, and that it will be a competitive program so that the local jurisdictions can compete for those funds.
Put that in the form of a motion.
And that's what it says.
Well, I'm not thinking of a jurisdiction running another public transit, but there are other transit companies. I mean, there's Elk Grove has got a transit, Yolo County's got a transit group.
Folsom.
And there are others, and I just wondered how, if we're really going to go to a regional transit for this. So how do we make that decision?
I have some ideas, and what I would like to do is put together what I've put together so far, send that to you by email or regular mail, and then start soliciting some of your input so that you can kind of see the direction that we're going and make sure that that's right. But I do have a way of addressing that concern.
So it seems to me like we should have something to be looking at and considering before we have a discussion on it. I mean,
yeah, I don't know how to get started without looking to the biggest transit agency for help. But wouldn't want to create an extra burden on them when they're struggling to fulfill their own, goals and policies. And, by involving them in the planning, wonder if, we would feel obligated then. I don't know.
I see Mr. Lee's here. Do you have any comment on that particular? Yes, Mr. Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was actually thinking a little bit along the lines of Susan on this as well, but what I've seen...
That's shocking.
We might have spent more time together than we realized. But one of the things I've seen very successfully work, and it doesn't necessarily preclude the process that the chair laid out, but is an RFI process where we ask those providers to respond if they're interested. I think regional transit is going to be very competitive, but part of the comments I want to make, where I know we have parts of the county that are not as well served through the existing bus and light rail system, and this is an opportunity to use the backbone systems that are existing to enhance that connectivity. And Susan, I'm still channeling you a little bit. I know you've talked about service in your district, but I also know that we hear from advocates a lot down in Supervisor Kennedy's district or Mr. Carr's district about underserved communities that need access to transit, and how this neighborhood shuttle could be an extender for the existing system. I don't think that RT would necessarily want to exclude any other providers, but I also think through the RFI process we could see the best kind of ideas and proposals, and it doesn't exclude whatever conversations to happen. So unless people object to that, I think that could be a really interesting way to get input from providers. Am I channeling you a little bit?
Certainly. No, I think that's a good idea. I just want to be able to get more information before we get locked into one provider.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of an RFI process, is you can have people respond if they're interested, and you can look at those ideas comparatively without having to be locked into any particular path.
Norm, how many companies are out in the world that might respond to such a request?
I'm not really sure, and I think that there might be some organizations that don't currently provide that service that might be interested.
Yeah, I think so too.
But qualified and responsible and responsive are all the different barriers.
Right.
I mean, it's likely going to be RT, paratransit, or some other entity that has the amount of capacity that we'd be looking for. Because otherwise it may just be a waste of money.
Yeah, I don't want to throw the money away. It's precious transit dollars, and so I think that's a good start.
Yeah.
What you suggested.
And the only comment I had punched up originally to talk about just the equity piece and the underserved communities. Really, we've heard a lot because bus routes were cut back during the recession. Trying to get into places, and we're going through our route optimization process at RT right now, but how to connect people who are trying to get to work or other activities into that system. So Norm, as you look at this, whether it's with RT or anyone else, that seems to be a really important need out in the parts of the community that don't have easy access to useful transit.
Thank you.
Mr. Fox.
Yes, I'm from one of those underserved communities from RT, and I'm not real enthusiastic about looking at an RT type of run system that's only going to benefit RT service, because we have other areas. I'm from Citrus Heights, and I have taught school there, and I will tell you, I have students that have to ride 2 hours, hour and a half to 2 hours just to get to the nearest light rail drop, or not light rail, but RT drop off, and still have to walk blocks and blocks to get to a major intersection in Citrus Heights. There's no other public transit available to them. So if we're going to look at this in terms of who's going to be doing what and how the servicing is going to be approached, I would definitely like to see something that makes these underserved communities more at the head of the list than they have been in the past. I think that's going to be important.
There are a lot of them, underserved communities.
Well, and I think that many of us up here, anyway, when we talk about this, we look at this as an opportunity to actually serve those communities. So, I'd like Mr. Lee to have. He has been here patiently, and your agency's been brought up. So, do you have any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for this opportunity. Norma and I actually had 2 meetings. We chatted about what the guidelines or the framework of this fund, and we understand clearly this is a competitive process. It's not, RT does not entitle to that. Let me just be clear on that first. Secondly, we talk about how to RT can help to support STA to use this fund in most effective and efficient way. And there's some ideas we discussed. For example, to put some neighborhood shuttle bus or circulation buses around those underserved areas, such as Ardenville area, Orangeville area, Central High area, and other those areas. And the question is how we can actually to provide a service quickly and more effectively. This has been 80 years behind schedule. We should start that long time ago. We are working on trying to put some additional small size or medium sized buses, try to provide the neighborhood-based bus shuttle services for the citizens in those underserved areas, and how to better connect this program to RT's existing programs, because it would not make sense to have a long stretched bus route from Central High to downtown. It must be something within Central High area. I just use one example to connect the hospitals, retail centers, employment side, and senior citizen centers, all those type of to those sites to connect people together. And if those people want to go to nearby light rail station, we need to have shuttle bus to move those people to those areas. So I concur with, 100% agree all of your comments. I'm serious about that. So we're here just try to support, try to see how we can better use that. We think we have a competitive advantage to use this money in a most effective way. For example, we are working with our unions. We're going to cut our, the benefit by about 50% in terms of the total labor cost may be able to cut by 30% based on a new contract. That will significantly reduce our labor cost, make our financially more competitive. The other initiatives we're implementing or we already implemented will make us very competitive. For example, you need buses to immediately get those service, and we are trying to put those spare buses together to be ready for this service. But again, we will be an equal, fair bidder among many bidders for this potential funding. That's all I like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions right now of the board? We do have one card from Mr. Jeffrey Tartagia.
Board members, Patrick, sorry, but I will offer this. It's 5 years ago when the, should we say, county did many reductions and RT did many reductions. Right now I can think of as dealing with the neighborhood shuttle is Molina just lost its funding for what used to be the Route 16, which deal with medical and other things. That stopped July 1st. But more importantly, you guys represent more than Sacramento. Both the Commission on Aging and Meals on Wheels have provided alternative transportation services for various neighborhood and regions. So please look into that. Also, I can say in San Francisco, there is various neighborhood options that, since you do not apparently have a criteria of how in the past neighborhood shuttle service has been provided, you might want to see what San Francisco has done to address some of these things, because there are certain restrictions i.e. for seniors, and probably mostly what I'm talking about is senior related. But I bring up, in thinking of other jurisdictions and other areas, that neighborhood shuttle service would be very valuable and very important. And I hope you can reach out and find if there are other services, i.e. in Placer County, i.e. in Yolo County, that has dealt with some of these things, perhaps in a different manner, in a different way, as well as you say, for Phil Cerna over there, is some of the areas in his regions that indeed have had replacement services because of routes that were lost during the last 5+ years. That is my comment for you, the public. Again, knowing that both, not just Sacramento, but also Meals on Wheels and other districts have done alternative transportation services that might be suggesting other opportunities and ways that a neighborhood shuttle service, again, the example most comes to mind in Sacramento is what Molina did in replacing the Route 16 that RT gave up through there some time back, and how well it became not just medical, but serving that community that did no longer have the service through that area to do with, from grocery shopping to medical doctor appointments to just providing a service that moved the riders, people, from one point to the other. So please, for your emphasis on neighborhood shuttle, look and find not only best practices, and as I turn around and made some other mentions and I could make mentions about other previous items, but I will stick to this item. But I will thank Don Natoli for bringing up some very good points related to earlier things on there. But thank you. And sorry, Sue, you weren't there at transportation, because it was a darn interesting SACOG transportation meeting last Thursday.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Okay, I have no other cards. Is there anyone else on the board that would like to ask questions, make a comment? Then I will take a motion from Mr. Hanson.
So moved.
Let's provide better direction than that.
I'd like to make a motion that we direct staff to use a request for ideas process to solicit vendors, but also in collaboration with RT, try to understand what services they might be able to provide, as well as any other vendor. And then I just, since I said this a couple times when we heard it, I think the board is really looking at unserved or underserved communities to target with the neighborhood shuttle program. And board members can work with the staff to help determine who those communities are.
Okay, we have a comment, but in the meantime, let's first get it on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Yes.
Second by Director Peters. Director Frost.
I'm also looking forward to receiving your input, ideas that you had. Are you going to email that to the board?
I'll send that out.
Okay, thanks, Norm.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Okay, unanimous vote. Item number 14, project update, Capital Southeast Connector.
I've asked Derek Minima, the new Executive Director of the Capital Southeast Joint Powers Authority, to provide a project update ahead of the next item on the agenda.
Okay. Good afternoon, board. My name is Derek Minima. I'm the recently appointed Executive Director for the Capital Southeast Connector JPA. Just recently presented this update to your ITALK committee and wanted to come and give you guys an update on our project status. Overview summary is that this project is 34 miles long. We start at Interstate 5, head over to 99, then cross up into the Rancho Cordova, Folsom, El Dorado Hills area. Out of those 34 miles, today we have 22 and a half miles currently underway with some form of work. This is the largest that we've ever had in terms of activity, and that activity ranges from planning to environmental to final design in some cases. So it's a lot of work, and it's in all 5 member agencies. That work is adopted and supported by the largest budget that the agency's ever adopted. And we currently have a large number of companies and businesses helping us prepare the litany of work that goes into delivering a project like this. The good news is that within the next 5 years, we anticipate there would be approximately 4 individual construction contracts that will be ready to go to construction. So a lot of work coming online and very busy. So what I wanted to do with this presentation is just kind of step you through where that work is occurring. So on the right-hand side of your screen is a kind of a geographic designation that we have broken the project into pieces. And then I'm kind of going to walk you through the project from left to right, from 5 up to 50. So on the western end of the project, this is about 6 miles. It's in the city of Elk Grove, and it is also known as the Camera Road Project. We have a NEPA and CEQA document that we are currently preparing, and the recent news on this front is that just recently in June, the board adopted a memorandum of understanding with the city of Elk Grove, where the JPA became the lead agency on this project. And so within the next year, we're going to be moving quickly through the CEQA document, working with Caltrans on the NEPA document, and we anticipate that within the next several years, we'll have an initial construction package ready to go for the Camera Road project. As I've heard on numerous occasions, this is the city's number 1, 2, and 3 priorities. So we'll be working very closely with the city of Elk Grove on this Camera Road project. Moving east, this is the kind of East Elk Grove area. There's been a lot of work in this area in the past. In fact, the connection of the connector to Highway 99 is complete. There's a brand new interchange at 99. And then also recently extending that reconstruction, we just recently went another mile, a mile and a half over the railroad grade separation, railroad tracks there from Union Pacific. The Waterman Road was realigned. And so there's been a lot of work in this area. And we have construction funds identified in this area for 2020. And in the meantime, we just completed NEPA and CEQA on this piece, and we are moving into the final design and right-of-way phase as we speak. So a lot of activity here. Moving a little bit further, we have about a 2.5-mile segment through the town of Sheldon. And while there's not a lot of environmental work that's currently underway here, what we are doing is a planning study. So this planning study is looking at what potential right-of-way is going to be and what the setbacks are going to be required. If you're familiar with the area, there's a lot of businesses right there along Grant Line Road. So it's important for us to look at how we can snake this project through such an area with a lot of rural character. But also in this segment is we're identifying some near-term intersection improvements that are hopefully going to come online in the next several years. In particular, we're talking about the intersection of Sheldon Road and Grant Line Road, which today is operating at a really poor level of service. So we'll be working collaboratively with the City of Elk Grove in the next year or so to look for the grant funding through SACOG and their congestion mitigation air quality plan. A little bit further is the Sacramento County Vineyard area. To date, we haven't done any work on this particular segment, but it is part of the board's approved schedule to begin work sometime next year, perhaps mid to late 2018. I think the reason or the timing of this is pretty relevant. There are just tens of thousands of approved units that are coming in the Jackson Corridor area as well in Rancho Cordova. So we're going to see the need for some improvements in here and anticipate beginning work sometime mid-2018. Then we enter Rancho Cordova. This is one of the largest pieces of the connector project. It begins at the Jackson Highway, State Route 16, and then goes up to the recently completed county 4-lane project up at White Rock Road. So this is about 7.5 miles. We just had our environmental certified at the board in June. Got a nice little celebration planned with the city coming up here. And the next, currently kind of wrapping up some of the NEPA clearance. This is federally funded, and so we're working with the Caltrans on wrapping up some of the NEPA clearance. But I anticipate early next year moving into the right-of-way phase on this project. This is what we call the D3 E1 Folsom El Dorado segment. 2 miles of this segment are already complete. From White Rock Road to Prairie City Road, the county reconstructed this portion of the road, and I think we had a ribbon cutting, call it 2014 or so. And so there's a brand new 4-lane facility out there already, which is great. And the connector JPA has been doing a lot of work with the city of Folsom and Sacramento County in this area between Prairie City Road and Latrobe Road. Environmental was cleared 2015. We have our 404 permit. We're in final design, and we will be actually entering into a new construction procurement contract probably within the next month or so. I'm going to bring it to the August board meeting, and that's actually very unique to our project. It's actually called Construction Manager General Contractor, and we got special legislation approved by the governor last year to allow our agency to enter into these kind of contracts. And essentially what it does is it brings a general contractor into the final design phase with the designer. We're not going to be doing a public bidding process. We'll be entering into a guaranteed maximum price, and that's something that's going to be coming online by 2020. We move up into El Dorado Hills. This is actually outside of the STA Measure A boundary, but there's been some work up here as well. So the intersection of Latrobe in front of the town center, if you're familiar with the area, is complete. That's accommodates the connector improvements. And then when we move to the terminus of the connector at Highway 50, that is the Silva Valley Parkway interchange, recently completed, a very large project there. It's open, you can drive on it today. We had a ribbon cutting, I think, in 2015. So the small piece in front of the El Dorado Hills Town Center, not in the near-term schedule for us, but probably sometime around 2020, we'll need to work with El Dorado County on their funding. Because we can't use Measure A in El Dorado County, we need to work very closely with them on identifying funds for their traffic impact mitigation fee. So that kind of takes you through the project. And so overall, so some general strategy comments here is that what we're really trying to do is kind of work through making the project what we call shovel ready. And the way that we do that is we identify pieces and segments along the connector that are the most critical areas at first, and we work to environmentally clear those areas. We have a limited amount of funding, so it's very strategic and thoughtful about where we're doing that environmental clearance. And then we move into design and permitting. And what's really unique about the connector project, and it's a great thing for our region, is the South Sacramento Habitat Conservation Plan, which is being led by the county. The connector JPA is a plan partner in that plan. And they've made some tremendous progress there. The Habitat Conservation Plan is the first plan in the nation to combine Endangered Species Act and Clean Water Act permitting into a single plan. So very cool stuff, a little experimental. When it comes online, we'll see how it works out, but I'm very optimistic about it. And then we're going to look into how we can acquire right-of-way. Now, right-of-way is expensive, and you don't want to start, acquiring land before you really need it. So we have to be strategic about where those locations are going to be. And again, it's limited funding. But once we start to environmentally clear segments, get our permits in place, and get that right-of-way, this is when we're really shovel ready. And so you've heard some of the funding programs mentioned earlier. That's what people want to see. They want to see a shovel-ready project. That's when we can really start to engage in some of those larger state and federal advocacy efforts to bring money into the project. So just a brief update. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Comments? I have no cards from the public. Thank you very much.
Item number 15, Connector JPA Funding Advance Request.
This is simply a request to give the JPA, to the Connector JPA, access to up to 10% of their allocation as working capital instead of reimbursement. The way that Measure A typically works is that the local agencies will expend their funds to get work done, and then they submit a invoice to STA for reimbursement. It doesn't work that way for a lot of times for the connector because they don't have the working capital up front to do that. So this is something that is allowed for in the contract. We have money set aside for their allocation amount, so it won't impact Measure 8 and won't impact any other Measure 8 projects. So we recommend approval.
Sure.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would move the item, but certainly if any discussion would hold the motion till then. But I would just say that I think, as you've heard from Derek, he certainly brings additional energy to the effort to move the project forward, working in concert with the member jurisdictions, and I think certainly has a very good handle on the the need to see the project through in a way that certainly attends to the various requirements, certainly for mitigations and for doing it in a fashion that doesn't get out ahead of the dollars that are available. But I think this makes sense, and I know certainly our board, the JPA board, has requested this and is supportive of this, and I think again we'll be good stewards of the dollars that are available. So I'd move.
Thank you. We do have one card from Jeffrey Tartagia.
I'm sorry, guys, but in one sense, my only concern was considering dealing with the regional area and what you're going through there for public transportation that you have allowed in this corridor, particularly when I realize where it connects with the Amador situation there at that particular intersection. And it was probably more related to the previous than this agenda item. But just want to bring up that concern to be sure that public transportation you are prepared for. I know you've done the lanes expansion. I've participated in the past listening to some of the things going on, but I didn't see dealing with that particular where Amador crosses over at 160 to Jacksonville Road, a real concern about how you are connecting with it, through there. I know other places, yes, but that's just my bringing up concern. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, I would just say, and certainly Derek can speak to this probably far better than I could, but there are multimodal components to this, including adjacent trails for different modes of transportation, both pedestrian as well as bicyclists. And at that particular location that Mr. Tartagia has referenced, though not as part of the certainly first phase, is contemplated at some point in time there will be a grade separation there, certainly, again, in light of the need to move folks both north-south and east-west. And I would just say, too, that I think the additional improvements are safety improvements, but they'll provide capacity, including for those for public transit as well. So.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Natoli. Is there a second? A second by Director Carr. No more comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain.
Item number 16, Chair's Report.
Okay, don't usually do these, but wanted to bring the board up to date on discussions that have been made about what some refer to as Measure B, some of us are referring to as Measure A. I believe right now we're referring to it as Measure A, as far as it has been potentially reserved on the ballot to be talked about now as Measure A. But I wanted to just bring you up to speed on some of the conversations that are going on, and I wanted to do it in a public way. Director Chenier and I had the opportunity to go to Seattle with staff from RT as well as SACOG to go to a conference that really did kind of a post-mortem on the efforts that Seattle went through to get their transportation measures passed. They failed at the ballot one year, and then they came back and they actually had a successful ballot initiative. So it seemed like an appropriate place for us to go talk to people. One of the thing that we heard loud and clear was that in their minds, one of the large reasons that they lost the first time out was because of a lack of public participation, a lack of genuine outreach, a lack of listening to the community and what the community wants. And, for better or for worse, I think we've heard that in our community as well from Measure B. We had a very truncated process. We all know that for a variety of reasons, and it didn't really provide for a great amount of community input. And I think that it, as we've heard from our constituents in the public, that it did hurt the chances of passing, though we came within less than a percentage of passing, due to the efforts largely of a lot of people on this board. We don't know if we're going to go out for a ballot measure at this time. It's highly unlikely it would be a June ballot measure. I think that we could categorically say it's not, because the time would be at the same place we were at last time. So we are still looking at, we being collectively the community, looking at doing something in 2018 November. A lot of this is predicated on a whole bunch of other discussions that have to happen. First of all, we have to find out what other jurisdictions are going to have on the ballot. We'd like to we should do some polling to find out where the community is on it. So we're not going forward, and that's why people have been frustrated. Are you doing it or aren't you doing it? We really don't know. But what has become clear, and Director Chenier can jump in anytime, to me anyway, and I've talked to several of you, is that we can't wait until we have a concrete path going forward before we start engaging the community, or we're going to be back where we were last time. So regardless of whether or not we go in November of 18 or if it's sometime in the future, we have to start that dialogue now, and we should be doing it anyway. We should be reaching out to them anyway. So that being said, we have convened, and this is, of course, this is not under the realm of a campaign. It's just talking about it from an STA perspective at how do we better engage the public and educate the public on what our transportation needs are. We have had meetings with, I've met with several of you. We've also met with SACOG, RT, as well as the transportation folks at the county and city. And we've put together a small contract for a RFP to go out that would be paid for by those entities, that would be strictly a public outreach effort, very grassroots. Director Harris, much like we did when we did the flood assessment, just, someone there to schedule, someone there to help us get out to the community, someone to get us on agendas, and have us an opportunity to go out and not tell them what we're going to do, but to solicit what they want, to solicit what their inputs are, with the idea that eventually we'll go back and say, here's what we heard. Now, you're not going to get everything you want, because this has to pass on a countywide basis, but we are listening, and we are going to do what we can to incorporate and make this as countywide as we possibly can. So that's kind of where we've been at. Once we have that schedule, the plan would be to reach out to every one of you, because no one knows your communities better than you do. And to the degree that you want to take leadership in your community to work with these folks, and whatever resources we can help bring, to let you, again, to the degree that you want to take leadership in your community, to take this forward as a listening tour, if you will. So I just want to, again, say that to the public as much as anything, because we're all getting the emails. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you going on the ballot? You're not including the public, and here you go again. So I wanted to make clear that here we don't go again. Whatever we do, we're going to do better. And so with that, Director Harris has a comment.
Thank you, Chair. Based on a previous meeting and discussion that you and I have had, along with Norm, Henry Lee and I had already scheduled a couple of meetings and outreach to a couple of groups. Our intention was to engage the people who were against Measure B last time and start the discussion to figure out what were their objections, and also solicit comments about what kind of bill they would like to see. So just so the board knows, we met with 350 Sacramento and the Sierra Club so far, and we're looking to meet with ECOS and Save the American River Association moving forward, bring that to the discussion. Like I said, when we talked about this earlier, before you and Jay went north, we had just sort of loosely discussed that we needed to engage these groups, so we started that process. Really just information gathering, again, to let the public know that we are listening and invite them to share with us what would be a bill that they would go out and campaign for.
Thank you. And that's exactly the type of effort that we want to do here. We want to just make sure that we're doing it in a coordinated way. So thank you very much, Vice Chair Harris. And without getting too much more into it before Mr. Burke tells me to stop talking, that's just the very unusual and first and perhaps last chair's report you'll hear from me. And with that, we have number 17, comments of authority members. Are there any comments or questions? Nope. Thank you very much. And with that, we are adjourned.